Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Disney Lorcana trading card game video. This is for the Illumineer's Quest Deep Trouble. So this is part of set 4. We do have some packs for as well. We have 4 packs I purchased. Ursula's Return. Little Ariel, Ursula, and then we do have Siu, I believe is how it's pronounced. I might be wrong on that. We'll maybe get to those later. But yeah, this is a brand new kind of like side mode for the game. I love this as a concept. I love this as a thing. Anytime a regular trading card game gives you something to do that's not just, here, play against another player. Play against 2v2. Play against 4-player chaos. Here's something different, extra rules. I love Magic the Gathering. They started doing this with like planes. They started having like plane chase and started doing that. And they had they had another one you can get to where you play against like extra decks. But yeah, this is a really cool. So what you do in this game, and what's also neat is because it's called Illumineer's Quest Deep Trouble. So hopefully this means they're gonna make more of these with different names. But what this is a cooperative game for 1 to 2 players. In the box, out of the box, you can play up to 2 players. You can actually play up to 4 players if you like. So if other people have decks, you can do it. But yeah, play along with the team to defeat Ursula. Big giant foily box. But as you play against an automated Ursula decks, you play your game normally. Teaming up with other players to defeat Ursula, who gets to play her cards in a little bit different way. So what's all in this box? I already tore it open, but I only did that so I could read the instructions. I haven't touched any of the stuff inside. Here we go. Free Lorcana from Ursula's grasp. With unprecedented power, Ursula Glimmer has unleashed her wrath across all the realms in Lorcana. It's up to your fellow Illumineers to band together using your Lorcana TCG decks to defeat the switch once and for all. So we're going to get a bunch of interesting stuff. We're going to get a giant oversized Ursula card, some extra counters in here. We're going to get 2 brand new player decks. 4 difficulties to play against as well. Decks include cards from the first chapter through Ursula's Return. So you can pick this up right away. You can play with either the 2 different decks. One's a Mulan deck and one's a Yen Sid deck. Get that. We're going to have some big giant encounter cards as well. Plus, Ursula has her own scenario deck. Plays by her own rule and sends Entangled Glimmers to do her bidding. Her special 50-card deck is all new cards and only be used in the Illumineer Quest game. They have special backs, they have special fronts. They have all the same relevant, generally, information as any other Lorcana card, but they're designed to be used for her game. Oversized Ursula, her deck, 2 pre-built 60-card decks, 2 oversized battleground cards, a Deep Trouble playmat, Ursula draw token, 3 lore token trackers, 1 for her, 1 for each other player, 29 damage counters, secret victory card, and a rule sheet. Cool. So this will be really exciting to go into. So let's go ahead and look at what was in the box. So when you pull it out, we are going to get this big giant monstrosity here. So here's a bunch of our counters in here. I do love the fact that and they've done this in their other sets as well, in their starter sets, is they incorporate the cardboard counters right into the display package, rather than giving you an extra sheet. Like, I'm going to throw this display package away anyhow, so I'm glad I don't have to also have another extra little sheet to throw away. Everything's falling out as I move. So on the side here, we have more counters. Nothing on that side. If I flip this over, we're going to have some more counters on there. Plus, we're going to have some other cards here. So if we pop some of this apart, we'll have our giant oversized cards. We'll look at those in a minute. We have a secret gold pack. Only the victors shall unseal this pack and claim the prize within, or this treasure becomes your property to see which Ursula for all eternity. So at the end of the video, we will open this and see what this is. I am curious if this is going to be the same card for every single player, or if there's going to be a thing of like, there's like 10 cards and it's like, or 5 cards or something, so like everyone's gonna possibly get different ones. Then on this little side here is we have this pops open, and we have the 3 decks. So I'm just gonna set the counters off to the side. So we have the 2-player decks, which will have the regular black backs, and then we have Ursula's deck, which has a gold back. With some really neat cards in it. We will have to do, I will come back and do a second video of this, a little small one, with Ursula's deck showing off some of the glimmers, compared to their regular cards. A lot of them are from Series 4, and I only have the 4 packs I just bought, but I do have a booster box coming, so after I've opened that, I can definitely compare some of these. Other thing we want to look at here is we have this playmat for Ursula. So this is just a kind of a cool picture. So we have Musketeer Mickey Mouse there, the big giant corrupt Ursula there. We have Ariel, I believe that's her Sonic Warrior version from Series 4, plus a new Long John Silver, which I love that. And then there's these other 3 characters, which I find are really cool, because my assumption is it's supposed to be the player characters. You have this guy with a gauntlet on his wrist. This girl here who has a staff. She kind of looks like Punk. She has like the purple and black motif, big giant combat boots with a purple skirt. This guy kind of looks like he's like a hoodie on, and maybe he's like a jock type guy, not for sure. But yeah, especially like the players are waving. There's a little wand, and then we have the 3rd guy down here. Who kind of almost looks like he maybe has like a guitar. And I wonder if those are some of the items that we are slowly unlocking, because most every card belongs to one of the Disney worlds, but there are a few that we've been coming across that aren't. So I kind of wonder if this is that. You kind of say, look at that. So it's, even if you notice this, he has summoning here. There's these blue swirls. Here's these blue swirls on John Silver, like he's summoning John Silver. Same thing, she has like these crystal shards. Same thing around Ariel. And then you can see how he has kind of a little bit of wispy of magic, so you wonder if he's maybe summoning Mickey. Because that's the idea, you're summoning these glimmers. So that's kind of cool. Then this is her placemat for her deck and for the entire game. So she has her discard, her scenario deck, her hand, which you just lay down there when you're not using it, Ursula's card itself, and her inkwell. And then she has Ursula's play area called The Row. And on the bottom we have our tracker. So we have going through and at 10 and 20 for each lore, and then 30 they go up all the way to 40. They have some different colors there, and then her turn order, which we'll look at in a moment here, and her draws. So we're going to look at the rules before we look into the deck, just so we kind of have an idea of what's going on here. So we have, with unprecedented power, Ursula's Glimmers unleash the wrath across the realms of Lorcana. It's up to you and your fellow Illumineers to band together to defeat the sea witch once and for all. It won't be easy, as she has entangled many familiar Glimmers who are waiting to face you and your friends in this exciting cooperative experience. We'll be able to stop Ursula from taking over the great Illuminary before it's too late. Our overview. Deep Trouble is a race for lore, with other players united against Ursula as her power increases. Don't underestimate her. She plays by her own rules and with her own special deck. The players use standard Lorcana decks. Either one of the 2 pre-built decks are included or one of their own. Take on Ursula alone or as a team, up with a friend. Others need to bring their own decks to play 3 or 4 players. All decks must follow the normal Lorcana deck building rules. Deep Trouble rules are explained here, otherwise all normal Lorcana rules apply. We're including some basic reminders for reference. So hit DisneyLorcana.com or the Trading Card Companion app to learn more about the game. Yeah, and I read through it. It actually plays very, very interesting. It plays very well. So your objective of the game is working together, players race for sufficient lore to stop Ursula from cementing her rule on Lorcana. She reaches 40 lore before each player has 20 lore at the same time. The Great Illuminary and all its secrets will be hers. Now, she wants to get up to 40. You need 20 at least. Now, there might be reasons for you to gain more than 20. but each player has to have 20 at the same time. So one player could have 20, one could have 25, one could have 30, as long as they all have at least 20. Setup. So number 1, based on the number of players facing Ursula, place her draw counter on her playmat as indicated below. The first time Ursula reaches the listed lore total, move her draw counter up 1 to show she'll draw an extra card from that point on. She can gain each bonus only once and keeps it even for lore falls below the listed total. So with 1 player, she draws 2 cards, and at 20 lore, she draws an extra 1. For 2 players, it's 2 cards, plus at 10 and 30, she draws 1 more. For a total of 4 cards by the end of the game. At 3, she draws 3 cards. At 20 lore, she draws her 4th one. And at 4 players, she draws 3 with up to 5 cards by the end. So, on the playmat here, we'll see over on this side, we have Ursula's draw. So it starts at like 2, or it could start at 3, depending on which one you're at, 2 or 3 players. But there are other things that could potentially move it up to her drawing 6 cards every turn, which gives her a lot of options. Choose a battleground and place it where everyone can see it. If your battleground has Ursula draw additional cards each turn, be sure to move up her draw counter. Note, play easy and normal difficulties your first few games if you have a chance to get used to the rules for this quest. 3. Ursula's scenario deck. Find Ursula's Stolen Triumph. Place it face up in her play area as your first card in the row. Then shuffle her deck and place it face down. Place the lore counter track on 0, 1 for Ursula, 1 for each player facing her. Each player shuffles their deck and draws their cards as normal. Altering hands is allowed, but the sea witch doesn't bother. She takes just whatever she gets. And we don't look at it, so we don't know if it's good or bad. Ursula takes the first turn, isn't one to sit around on her tentacles. Unlike a standard game, she draws on her first turn. So, that's basic setup. Place her deck down. Place her trident in the row to start off with, and then she gets to draw her cards. So, in a 1 or 2 player game, she'd immediately draw 2 cards right off the bat. In the battlegrounds, so we have 4 of them. We'll look at them a little bit closer in a minute here, but we have the Encounter for easy, a Dark Realm for normal, the Lair for hard, and Infinite Wrath for extreme. Each battleground has 1 or more ability the players can use on their turn by paying the listed lore cost. To do this, players reduce their lore by the total amount listed for the ability they want to use, moving their lore tracker to a new total. Choose carefully, each ability can only be used once per turn. This is again where I said you may end up going over 20, just because then you can always spend down. The hard and extreme battlegrounds have special rules for Ursula in addition to the players. The hard battleground gives her an extra card and draws every turn. And the extreme one, well, it's extreme, so just don't say we didn't warn you. If you think you're ready to try extreme battleground, take our advice, come to this field prepared with decks you built specifically for this quest. Do your best chance for victory. Play a few games with lower levels first to become comfortable with the deep trouble rules. The kind of tricks Ursula has in store. So that is also a really fun aspect of this. Is it's not just, hey, let's play against Ursula and every time you play it's going to be the exact same game. We have 4 different encounters that are going to kind of change up what she can do, what you can do each time. So essentially you could say it's 4 games at bare minimum. So that's actually kind of a neat thing to be able to do. And hopefully maybe like when later sets come out, they'll have ways to like add on to this extra thing. Maybe swap out different, maybe you can swap out different, what I already forgot what these things are called, battlegrounds from like 1 player. So like, let's say for example, the next Illumineer's quest has like Jafar. Like maybe you can swap out his battlegrounds for Ursula's. And make some different things like that, or maybe swap some of the decks in their glimmer piles. It might be kind of interesting to see how that works. Ursula's turn. The following steps below Ursula's turn, which works differently than normal turn. Her play decisions are built into the rules, so is her deck. Her deck will usually be able to run itself. To start, for 1, she readies all her cards. 2, start of effects of turns. 3, resolve the row. Resolve the row of characters and items Ursula has in play from the players left to their right. If an item has an ability with an exert cost, Ursula exerts the card and uses the ability. If a character can quest, they do. Exert them as usual. If they can't quest and have reckless, they challenge. The player chooses A character of theirs can be challenged as a defender, and the challenge proceeds normally. Otherwise, that character does nothing. So basically, her characters are just going to be trying to quest and not necessarily defeat yours. And then we have draw. One at a time, Ursula draws a number of cards indicated by her draw counter. Don't reveal these cards yet. Place them face down in the pile next to her deck. This is her hand. Note, any card that returns to Ursula's hand goes to this pile. 4-5. Reveal one at a time. Ursula reveals and acts on every card in her hand. After finishing with each one, move on to the next one so she has no cards left. Turn the card over to reveal it. Then check the amount of ink in her inkwell. Ursula doesn't have to pay ink to play cards, just to have it. If Ursula has enough ink in her inkwell to play a revealed card, she does so for free. The cards are character item. Place them in front of her row at the end of her row. If it's an action, resolve the effects and put the card into her discard. If she doesn't have enough ink to play the revealed card, put it into her inkwell face down. If Ursula ever runs out of cards the next time, she must draw, shuffle the cards in her discard. To make a new deck, place the designated spot in her playmat and continue to draw. So, basically how this works, she doesn't pay any ink to play her cards. You only check to see the amount of ink they would have. So, if it's a 4-cost card, unless she has 4 ink in her inkwell, she has to play it. If she only has 3, that card now becomes ink, and now for the next card, she'll have 4 ink. So, if she draws a bunch of really big cards right off the bat, she's just going to have a bunch of ink to start off with, which means maybe turn 3, 4, she's going to be able to start playing all her cards. The cards return her hand, stays there until they're revealed step, and then is revealed. Any effects require Ursula to make a choice. The player the choice together and resolve it as though she had done it. Reminder, Ursula's cards say you and yours refer to Ursula, while opposing players refer to the players she's facing. Alright, this is the other thing that kind of just didn't get too much, but all player turns happen at the same time, so you can coordinate your plays and use ability and effects with each other character. It's especially useful in support and other effects that last till the end of your turn. Tip, an effect of one of your cards refers to a player can be played on Ursula. And there's, of course, a reminder of some of our symbols. Yeah, so then this just here, quickly, I'm not going to get into too much. This just reminds you how you take your turn. Ready all your cards, set, start your effects to happen, draw your cards. Main phase, go all your different stuff, play cards, items, abilities, or quest, challenge, exert. Challenging, exert the card, choose an opponent, look at character strength, put that many damage counters on the other character at the same time. Your willpower, if they have that many damage counters, they're defeated. Questing, instead just exhaust them, gain that many lore. Very simple. Winning, every player facing Ursula has 20 or more lore at the same time. When she has 40 or more lore, when any player facing her must draw but has run out of cards, so you can't run the game out. That is the basis of the game. So yeah, it's fairly interesting, right? She'll just kind of play by herself. She's going to do these rules. One mentality you could definitely add for if there's a choice is, I love this. There's another game I have called Primal, and they have a rule that goes for this. If you ever have to make a choice on what to do, you always choose whichever going to be the worst for your players. So, like, if, for example, and I can't say exactly this might happen, but if Ursula has a card that says, like, or she can attack someone with, or destroy a card with 2 power, right? And you have 2 different options out. One of yours, like, player A's has a 2-cost card that doesn't have any special abilities or anything, but maybe quests for 2 lore. Player B has one that lets them draw a card every turn. You guys have to decide as a team which one would get destroyed. And you might say, well, drawing a card generally is for, having the option of drawing a card every turn is better than questing for 2 lore. So you destroy that one because it's the worst option. And that's just kind of how I think you should play a game like this. Obviously, if you're getting beat too much, then play it the other way. Make it easier because you want to have fun. But yeah, I like the idea of the game. It seems really neat. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the oversized cards, and then we're going to look at Ursula's deck. I think then we'll do a part 2 video where we'll look at the other 2 structure decks, just so we're not getting too far into this. But let's go ahead. Let's look at Ursula's oversized card. This is definitely a fancy card. So those are the entangled versions, or her like extra dark versions of her flotsam and jetsam eels. She has a massive trident, the crown ruler of Lorcana. So it does say Q1 again. It's interesting. I really hope they keep this. This just has a big yellow back on there. That's cool. Alright, so we're going to look at the quests next. Nothing else special on there. It's just to show who you're fighting against. I'm going to drop my camera down a little bit. I'm going to pull this up. We're going to look at these quests. So we have the Encounter Battleground. Easy. Ursula doesn't draw additional cards for lore each turn. So it doesn't draw additional cards for lore each turn. Okay, so like it said in there, like when you hit level like 20, 10 or 30 or 20, depending on how many players, she ought to draw an extra card. Playing easy just means you don't draw them cards. Player abilities. If you pay 1 lore, move up to 2 damage from a chosen character. Okay. 2, ready or exert chosen character. 3, chosen player draws 2 cards. Cool. Nothing like game breaking, but definitely could be very helpful. It could also be very helpful. You can plan stuff like this if you want to plan decks out. Having one deck that's heavily focused on making lore, or another one's maybe heavily focused on doing damage. And then the lore one can keep building up a ton of extra lore to then pay for these abilities to help the other one keep everything down. It's just kind of cool. Alright, if we flip it over, we have the Dark Realm. So we're entering her domain. This is normal difficulty, no extra things, but we have player abilities. Pay 1, chosen character gets 2 challenge this turn. 2, chosen character gains resist +1 till the start of your next turn. Or 3, each player except Ursula draws a card. Pretty cool. Alright, then we have the lair. We actually entered into her domain. She has her crazy throne pot. Difficult that Ursula draws 1 more card each turn, so I'll make her a little bit harder. Player abilities, pay 1, deal 1 damage to a chosen character. Pay 2, ready chosen character, and pay 3. Each player except Ursula puts the top card of the deck into their inkwell, face down, and exerted. Very nice. And then we're looking at the extreme. Infinite Wraths. This is our big picture with everybody. Ursula draws 1 more card each turn. Whenever a character of Ursula's is banished, she returns that card to her hand. Oh boy, since she can keep playing them. And if they have come into play effects, that can be very nasty. Then your player abilities, you only have 2. Ursula discards a card at random. Nice. So it gives you even harder stuff to do. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, awesome. So I can get this package open. Alright, so then we have Ursula's deck itself. So, they're all going to have this gold back to differentiate themselves from the rest of the Lorcana cards. It's just to show off, so there's a regular card there. That way you don't accidentally shuffle them into your own decks. So then we're going to go ahead and look at what we have here. So we're going to start with... I want to start with card number 1. So we're going to start with Anna. So we got 2 copies of her. So she's got more than 1 copy of some of these cards. There's 31 different ones in here. It does say Q1 for quest. Has its own special rarity type symbol on the bottom. Otherwise, it didn't work like anything else. They have 6 costs. You can ink her. Now, again, you might be like, what's the point of saying ink? I think every one of her cards is inkable just because for hinting off any fact, every card can go into the inkwell. So that's why they just made them this way. 5 and 6. I'm trying to see. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Just different pictures. So Anna, Ensnared Sister. She's entangled, a hero and a queen. She keeps her keywords. So you can still play off of that stuff as well. Evasive. Only characters with evasive can challenge this character. Royalty. So pretty, so naive, so utterly impressionable. That's a terrible Ursula impression, but that's what I'm going with. Alright. Up next, we have 2 copies of Bruno Madrigal from Encanto. This is one of the stuff from Series 4. So 2 cost, 4 and 4. Entangled Ally and Madrigal as one of their things. Unspeakable Seer. Dark Prophecy. When you play this character, each opposing character puts the top 3 cards of their deck into their discard. Ooh, that's mean. His particular talents have already come in quite handy. Nice. We got 2 copies of Captain Hook. Devious Duelist. So 5 costs, 7 and 4. Entangled Villain, Pirate, and Captain. An obvious choice, of course. He's so treacherous and deceit. Full of treachery and deceit. He reminds me of me. Yeah, that's based off like the set 1 Captain Hook too, so that's pretty cool. So we don't always have 2 copies of everybody. We got 1 copy of Flotsam, the Wicked Defender. Now you notice he's not entangled because he doesn't need to be entangled to work for Ursula. He's kind of overpowered. 4 cost, 5/5. Bodyguard. An opposing character who challenges one of their characters must choose one with Bodyguard if able. Ursula's Sentry. This character plays exerted. My darling baby, always so protective. Yeah, it's awesome. We got that. We got 1 copy of Gaston, Egotistical Bully. 2 costs, 2 and 4. Entangled Villain. Positively Primeval. When you play this character, deal 4 damage to the opposing character at the lowest cost. If there's a tie, the opposing characters must choose from the tied characters. And this again would come in with that choice. Like, if you want to like make the game really interesting, play with whoever's going to hurt the most. So yeah, again, it comes down to like, I got a guy that just quests for lore but doesn't do anything else. I have another guy that's going to draw me extra cards. You might determine the drawing one's worse. We do have 2 copies of Hey Hey. Peckish Pal. It's a 3 cost, 3 and 2. He's an ally. Notice he's also not entangled. He just happens to be there. Was evasive. He doesn't know why he's here. Neither does Ursula. And that's just pretty funny. Like, he just shows up and he's like, whatever, I'm here, I guess. Because all the other guys have, like, these purple and seaweedy, like, strands on them. And, like, growths. So you have Hercules, Manipulated Hero. 4 cost, 3 and 7. Entangled Hero and Prince. It's a really cool Hercules picture regardless. Bodyguard and Ursula's Sentry. Character enters play exerted. Everything has a price. During the opposing player's turn, they may together pay 3 ore to banish this character. Just kind of like showing like maybe he's being hard to keep control of. Kind of cool. We have 1 copy of Jafar, Double Crossing Vizier. 7 costs, but he has 9 and 9. Entangled Villain and Sorcerer. And 3 lore, so that's helpful. With such a strong will, he was difficult to entangle, but I always did my way in the end. We get 1 copy of Jetsam, the Wicked Whisperer. 2 cost, 5 and 3. Ursula has great powers. When you play this character, deal 1 damage to each opposing character. My little poopsie can sway even the most stubborn glimmers. This was a fun one to see. The Mad Hatters. I haven't seen too much of them. We have 2 copies of this. So 2 costs, 3 and 5. Entangled Ally. Sinister Host. He's simply wild for parties. He's already celebrating my victory. So very, very good. Alright, drop that down. We have 2 copies of Magica Dispel, the Shadowy Sorceress. 3 costs for 4 and 4. Entangled Villain and Sorcerer. Her quaint spells are a little more than trifles compared to my own. Still, she does have her uses. Shadow back there, I love that. We have 1 copy of Minnie Mouse Wild-Eyed Diver. 7 cost, 6 and 7. Entangled Hero. Confusing Presence. When you play this character, each opposing player loses 2 lore. The first and best of my Entangled Glimmers. Makes sense, she was out diving where she shouldn't have been. We have 2 copies of Prince Eric, a Grim Groom. 1 cost, 2 and 5. Entangled Hero and Prince. Bodyguard and Ursula Sentry. Interplay Exerted. This one I like because I don't believe the shark has been showing anywhere else. I think this is like the first time we've seen him. We have 2 copies of him. 5 cost, 4 and 7. Shark, Toothy Terror, Entangled Ally. Big Bully. When you play this character, deal 2 damage to each opposing damaged character. He loves a problem he can sink his teeth into. We have 2 copies of Tamatoa, Grabby Crab. 4 cost, 6 and 3. Entangled Villain. Pick one. When you play this character, the opposing players together choose an item or location of theirs and banish it. Ooh. It's called a Distraction Angelfish. Look it up. Alright, there's another brand new set of characters we haven't seen before, and we get 4 copies of them. Triton's Daughters who have not yet appeared. So 0 cost. They don't even cost anything regardless. You just possibly come out on turn 1. 2 and 3. Discordant Choir or Course. Tangled Ally and Princess. Perhaps I should have taken their voices too. Well, there's always time for that later. Alright, so that's all of our glimmers, and we're going to get to some action cards. We have, and these are all brand new. So we have 2 copies of Capsize. 3 cost action. If you have 6 or less ink, put the top 3 cards of your deck into your inkwell face down. If you have 7 or more, each opposing player chooses and banishes one of their characters. So this could be very bad because you give her a quick heads up. 2 copies of Choppy Waters. 3 costs action as well. Deal 2 damage to the highest cost character each opposing player has in play. If there's a tie, chosen players chose from the tie. Is that afterwards? Or is that supposed to be maybe it's like coming up to it? Interesting. Or she's just destroying ships left and right. We have 1 copy of Crushing Wave, 4 cost action, 2 damage to each opposing character. So she's definitely going to be taking out these characters left and right. 2 cost, Entangling Magic. Each opposing character discards a card, then puts this card into your inkwell face down. Fascinating, isn't it? Don't be shy, take a closer look. Fortunate Hit. Ooh, snap the trident. 0 cost action. Opposing players together choose one of your items and banish it. 2 copies of Lash Out, a 2 cost action. Each opposing player chooses and banishes one of their characters. Lightning Storm, we got 1 copy. Lightning above water is never a good thing. 6 costs. Each opposing player loses 3 lore. 1 copy of Riptide. 6 cost action. Bash all opposing characters, items, and location with a cost of 2 or less. Ooh, that could be bad for certain decks. 1 copy of Tentacle Swipe, a 2 cost action. Deal 1 damage to each opposing character. Then put this card into your inkwell face down. So this is the way she's going to do most of her damage. It's either this or you challenging her characters to get rid of them so they don't keep questing for lore. Because she doesn't attack generally. None of her characters had Reckless. So none of them are going to attack in general. Tsunami, 7 cost action. Banish all opposing characters. It just wipes out everybody. Starts you over. That's not good. 2 copies of Typhoon. 5 cost action. Return all opposing exerted characters to their player's hands. 1 copy of Whirlpool. 4 cost action. Exert all opposing characters they can't ready at the start of their next turn. Those are all of our actions. And we have some items here. So we have the Hexwell Crown. 3 cost item. Perks of Power. Exert to draw a card. So when this comes into play, that means at the beginning of every turn, she's always going to exert this. So if you can't get rid of this item, she's going to gain an extra card every turn. When she placed it on her head, Ursula felt a rush of power as the crown unlocked a deeper magic. Awesome. We have 3 copies of... 3 or 4? 4 copies of Ursula's Contract. 0 cost items. Sweeten the deal. Opposing players can't use battleground abilities. Minor stipulation. At the start of your turn, banish this item to gain 3 lore. She's going to come out, stops from the ability, but then she gains 3 lore from it. So if you can't get rid of it, it's going to be bad for you as well. Then the final card, the one we just start with, is Ursula's Stolen Trident. It's my power now. Exert to gain 1 lore. So again, you don't get rid of this, she's going to gain 1 lore every turn. It could be very bad. With my magic, the Trident has powers the foolish sea can never imagined. Awesome. So that is Ursula's deck. And there is Ursula again. There's her Inkwell Crown, her Trident, and foils. Yeah, so she's definitely going to be a pain to fight against, no doubt. But yeah, this is a really cool concept, a really neat idea for a game. I hope they keep making some more of these. I don't know if there has to be one every single set, but maybe I hope it's more than one every 4 sets. Maybe every other set do something would be kind of neat. But it'd be a neat way to, like, add some of the extra villains, or even if it's not always versus like one villain, maybe if they do something different where maybe there's other goals. This one, Ursula's goal is you get 40 lore. Maybe you have, in general, that's going to be the idea of most of the games, but maybe they have like another group, maybe like next deck or something, you play against like 2 different characters or something. That'd be kind of interesting as well. I think in the flavor text and the lore of the cards, I would guess maybe the next villain is possibly going to be either Jafar, because I think he had a big presence. Maleficent's had a big presence in cards as well. But secretly on the bottom side is the Queen of Hearts has been gaining a lot of lots of flavor text. She's been gaining a lot of different items and picking stuff up. So maybe they're going to... We had Alice in Wonderland stuff, I believe, in set 1. So maybe we're going to have a comeback of Alice in the next set. Or maybe a set later. That'd be kind of interesting just to see. But yeah, they could do a bunch of different other stuff with this, which would be really cool. Other concepts like this, other game modes. We have like the Battlegrounds. Maybe make a Battleground for a 2v2 game. Like maybe you have to play two players against each other as a teams, and maybe like you're fighting over something in the battlegrounds. That'd be kind of an interesting thing. And maybe there's like a bounce mechanism of the lore or something, you know, like a teeter-totter, like, right, it starts in the middle and every time someone gains lore, does an action, it goes up, but then someone else does it and knocks it down the other way, or you can spend stuff to, like, maybe you want to, you know, there's some definitely interesting things you could do with this. I hope they keep up with little extra things like this to take you away from just being a versus game. I don't think it needs to switch over to be like 100% co-op board game. But the fact is you can add in some interesting stuff like this. It's gonna make the game more interesting. Plus we will see in some of the new stuff for Series 4, there's actually some cards that work very well with this team-up mechanics or playing as a cooperative. I was going to try and see if I could find one really quick with this deck. But I might not, it might not have any in here. I don't see any. Yeah, because there's some new ones that have songs. Which is what I was looking for. We had songs that came out. That let you actually have multiple people pay for them. So it kind of works as that team effect, right? If you're playing a team game or with Ursula, so you can have multiple characters players all pay for the same card to help play a bigger song, like a group song. So it's kind of cool. Alright, that's what we have for part 1 here of the Illumineer's Quest Deep Trouble. Come back to see part 2, where we will go over the 2 other decks, structure decks, as well as we will go over this card. So we're going to save this to the end. And we might even open up the other 4 packs. Other 4 packs of cards too, and see what else comes with Ursula set. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you later. Bye.